All right, so now that's ready. We're ready to go. So let's see if you did the steps correct, and let's double check that we have our ideas right. First, what is the question asking? The question's asking us how many moles. So we already know that we've determined the desired amount of substance. But before we do anything, we have to what? Balance the equation, right? So if I have 2 nitrogen here, that means that I have to have 2, I'm going to write that in another color, 2 nitrogens on this side, product side. So 2 nitrogens and 2 nitrogens, good. But when I put the 2 in front of this end, I also affected the 3 atoms of hydrogen, making it 2 times 3, 6. So in order to get this hydrogen to match, we would have to add a factor of 3 because 3 times 2 is also 6. And now we are balanced. The more practice you get with balancing equations, it's going to become more and more easy. So just make sure that you go back to the previous lessons and practice, and ask questions in office hours. All right, so it tells us to determine the units. We know we need moles, so we're good, right? Number 3, let's use our mole ratio. So what do we have? They're asking about which one? Nitrogen. So we're asking about nitrogen, and we're asking about the whole molecule of ammonia, right? NH3. So it looks like we have 1 mole to every 2 moles of NH3. So without even doing all the calculations, let's think about this. If I have 2 moles of ammonia, how many moles of nitrogen would I need? Okay, so let's be careful because 2 moles is there, right? So we can't just say, oh, well then I just need to double the amount. I need to just take half of the amount to produce twice as many, right? So let's take a look. Let's just do the math though. We have a 2-to-1 relationship, but let's start with what we have. We start with 2 moles, or we end up with, but we start with the information 2 moles of NH3. Okay, just remember to make sure to write that out. That's over 1. This is going to be multiplied by the amount of moles of nitrogen that we have, right? So for every 1 nitrogen, we have 2 nitrogen, NH3. So we're going to write that relationship. For every 1 N2, we have 2 NH3s. Why did I put moles of NH3 in the bottom? That's right, so that these moles could cancel, leaving us with just moles of NH2. So let's do it. 2 times 1 is 2 moles divided by 2 moles. 2 gives us how many moles of nitrogen? 1 mole of nitrogen. And we can just tell that from the equation itself, but it's just good practice to go through the steps in case you get some answers that are more complex. Now, time has come for us to move into an equation that asks you for 2 steps. First, you're going to find the moles, but then the equation is going to ask you for that mole in the form of grams. And it's no big deal because every chemical that is made up in NH3 can be looked up in the periodic table. Nitrogen has a certain mass. You would write that average mass, and you would add it to the mass of how many hydrogens you have here based on the subscript. Now be careful because when we do this next one, you will not use the the subscript. You will only use the subscript, but you will not use the coefficient in this case when you're getting what's called molar mass. The molar mass is just the exact amount of molecules that make up the formula weight. That's just the N and the 3 H's, not the number of them that you have, okay? So it's more like a generic formula, okay? So